Minecraft Island, New York Times bestseller by Max Brooks. Chapter 3. Donald thing. What's my next move? I asked darkness, given that I was trapped, literally, with my back to the wall, with a snoring corpse just a handful of dirt away. The option seems pretty limited. For a long while, I tried to just focus on my breathing, clearing my mind, letting the idea flow. Ironically, the first clear thought I had was that my breathing might be using up all my air. How much did I have? Was I already suffocating? What did suffocation feel like? I tried to sense any change in my body, any feelings that weren't there before, and that's when I noticed that all the pains from my injury were gone. Both and heads and ankle felt fine. My stomach, on the other hand, felt completely empty. I chomped down another apple, trying to make sense of what was happening. Am I losing oxygen to the brain, I wonder, or did I just heal super fast? Seriously, am I a superhero? The thought gave me a sudden rush of hope. The zombie groaned. Is that it? I asked the girl. Does this word give me hyper healing, and do the apple or any food have something to do with it? Another non-commercial groan. You don't have to answer, I said. I figured everything out, because that's what it takes to survive here, right? This is a whole new world with a whole new set of rules, like punching from a distance or a little bags that hurts a lot of stuff. Deeper breathing brought greater calm, and greater calm brought clear thinking. I just need to figure out what's what. I started matter-of-factly, and I'll do that as soon as I burst out of here. On cue, the zombie groaned back, and when I do, you'll be waiting. So I'll need some kind of weapon to defend myself, a club or a spear, or the zombie gave a quick high-pitched growl that hadn't heard before. Hey, I said, putting my ear to the dirt. What gives? Had it hurt me? Were we having an actual conversation? The sharp, harsh call kept coming, like the creature was reacting to something, like it was in pain. You okay? I asked reflexively. Hey, I'm sorry if talking about weapons hurts your feeling or something, but in all fairness, you're trying to kill me, so. Halfway through my babbling, I noticed that the sound were gone. Hello, I called out to silence. I thought I could smell something sizzling through the dirt. Smoke? Was the zombie building a fire outside my hole and trying to smoke me out? Could zombie do that? I had to know. If sitting here meant dying of smoke inhalation, I had to take my chances out in the open. Heart pounding, I knocked out the dirt cube in front of my face and blinked hard in the light of a square morning sun. I couldn't see the zombie, but I could still smell its rodent stench. Now mixed with the strong scent of smoke, I tore out the second block and stepped cautiously onto the beach. I looked right and left and down and wrinkled my nose. A chunk of putrid meat was harboring at my feet. I picked up nervously and winced at the utter grossness. The fringes were shattered like a burnt burger, and I didn't need to ask where the smoky smell had come from. I darted across the sand, thinking that this was a trap and the zombie might be waiting on the hill just above me. It wasn't the coast, literally was clear. Hey, that dude, I shouted, holding up the hunk of roast. You forgot yourself? I waited a 10 minutes, hoping the chunk's owner wouldn't come slouching back over the hill. It didn't. This bit of burn grody guts has to be all that was left. But why? The sun. But didn't daylight kill only vampires? Maybe in my world, but I said to the chunk, we're not in my world, and I can't assume anything. And just as I said it, my eyes fell on my small cliff-sized hidey hole. Spectacularly, I noticed that 2 blocks long, 1 block wide ceiling of dirt. Why hasn't it collapsed on top of me? What was holding it up? I went back into the hole and punched out the 2 earthen blocks above my head, then moving away so it would land on me. I put them right back in place and they stuck. Cool, I smiled, feeling a surge of confidence. Other than hyperhailing, the ability to stick dirt blocks to each other was a huge advantage of this world. It means that I could build a shelter without nails or cement or whatever kept us up. That's assuming, of course, there wouldn't be a natural sanctuary waiting for me somewhere out there. I hiked to the top of the hill, scanned the entire length of the island, checking the north and south slopes just to be sure. Then, perhaps a heavy sigh of disappointment. There was no cave, no hole, no move rising fortress. I noticed the cow, 2 of them actually grazing at the bottom of the western slope, munching and mooing to their herd's contents. Well, I called down to them, my eyes now fixed on the trees. At least I was right about the sun chasing those monsters away. The light was definitely banishing whatever had been lurking in the woods the night before. But where had they gone? And for the matters, where had they come from? Did they walk up the sea at dusk or crawled out of the ground like in some cheesy horror film? I probably know a lot sooner than I wanted to. Even though dawn had only been a few minutes ago, the sun was already halfway to noon. How short are the day here? Asked the contents house, and if they could have spoken, you probably would have an answer. Short enough to stop wasting time. Thanks, I said sarcastically, then turned to climb back down what I was now calling Disappointment Hill. For a moment I hesitated, wondering if I should build a signal fire. Isn't that what people did when they're marooned on an island? Maybe, but I had no idea how to do it. What I did know how to do, though, was dig, using nothing but my hands. I punched out enough of dirt blocks and spelled the word help. Maybe a low-flying airplane or even high-flying satellite will see it. I thought, someone come along. I was still clinging to the idea that somebody was going to swoop in and save me. That's all I had to do was last a night or 2 until they did. I might have accepted that this was a whole new world, but I didn't stop to consider what that really meant. I would start later when I got myself lost at sea again, but I'm getting ahead of myself. With the watchful eyes in the stern, I trudged back down the eastern slope. I was building a dirt hut out from my hoard in the cliff. But when I looked the narrow opening, I figured it'd be a lot safer to burrow, just to burrow deeper. This That way I'd had a whole hill between me and danger, instead of a few flimsy dirt walls. But how to do that? I couldn't tunnel through stones with my bare hands. Could I? Don't assume anything, I remind myself, raising my face to the smooth grey wall. You already had a distance punch superpower. Maybe the punch can break rocks. Turns out it can. Ow, ow, ow. I yelp with each hit. Yes, it's true that this word less pledge to damage a solid rock. And yes, after battering for a while, and it did look like I was making progress. The gray cube didn't crack through, not like it would in my world. What I saw was little multicolored mini blocks spreading out from my impact points, but the moment I rested my bruised, aching hands, all the damage to the rock sealed right back up. Oh man, I shouted and angrily decked the rock again, which forced out another painful ow. Apparently, I wasn't the only thing in this world with hyper healing. What do I need to take you out? I asked the silent smoking stone. Some kinds of tool was the obvious answer, like the castaways in all the stories, but they usually had a whole shipwreck or supplies or a hatchet or at least a talking volleyball. What did I have? Was in memories and a backpack full of nothing. Well, almost nothing. I tried hitting the stonework with things I collected, saplings, dirt cubes, even zombie flesh. For all I know, this world gave anyone or them the power of jackhammer. Nothing of them work. But the sapling gave me the idea to try rippling a piece of harder, stronger wood from the leafless tree behind me. I went over the closest trunk and punched out the bottom section. Timber! I shouted, then let out a confused hop. Not only was the tree still upright, it was standing with nothing connecting it to the ground. Look, I said, negotiating with the suspended clump. Blocks and zombies are one thing, but gravity? The floating trunks didn't move. Okay, I nodded, throwing on my disshaped hands. Your word, your rules. A few seconds later, I saw how true those words were. I tried bashing the cube's logs against the cliffs and got nothing more than a sore hand. I winced and, without thinking, started to pass a log to my left hand in order to give me right one a break. What? My square eyes widened as my left hand opened to reveal a luminous grid. There were two lines up, down, side to side, dividing my palm into protection. As the shrunken log fell into a bottom left section, the glowing image of four-section wooden planks exploded out from my open right hand. All right, I said nervously, not sure if what was happening or good or bad. I tried slowly closing my finger. The planks grew solid just as the log in my left hand vanished. "All right," I said to the growing Jill. In addition to the ability to heal quickly, punch things from a distance, and stick blocks to themselves without support, some of these words allowed me to transform raw materials into finishing products in seconds. How long would it have taken in my world? How many hours of chopping, measuring, sewing, and sanding? And this assuming I already knew how to do any of that. This world let me be a master crafter just by changing hands. What can I make with this, I wonder, past the stacks planks in my left hand. This time a tiny wooden mini-key floated above my right. A button, I read it. Not the kind for clothes, but the kind you pressed. Head spinning, literally dizzy with new discoveries. I couldn't imagine what would happen when I pressed it. Would the button transform whatever it was stuck to into something completely different? Would it transform me? Or maybe it would raise up a giant gleaming fortress that held a white-haired spirit who would answer all my questions and teach me how to use my power. Hasn't that happened in a movie? I closed my hands on the button, grabbing it from the air and sticking it to the suspended tree. Was this the key to sending me home? "I'm ready," I shouted to the heavens. My shaking hands reached out for the overpowered or important button. Click. "Right," I sighed, hearing the wah-wah of the trombone in my head. So much for all the answers. But looking down at the remaining woods, I said, "Well, maybe you've still got a few." I spread the 3 planks out among the 4 space in my hands and got nothing. But as soon as I took one away, the other 2 sitting one above each other protected the image of 4 long, sturdy sticks. "A club!" I shouted, grabbing down from the air. Putting 3 in my belt, I swung inward like a demented Neanderthal. "Me strong, me a weapon." Then, still in character, I looked back at the stonework and growled, "Me also have rock breaker." I should have quite experimenting right then and there. I should have gone back to digging after my underground shelter, but big surprise I didn't. "Just few more experience," I said, turning my back to the rock wall, "and then I'll get to work." Since the 1 remaining plank was only good for making buttons, I slipped into my belt and started bashing down the rest of the suspended tree. I dived the new planks among all the 4 sections of my hands and gasped in wonder at the ghostly image that produced. This cube seems to have all kinds of tools hanging from its sides. "Here we go," I shouted, grabbing this new game changer. It didn't matter that the tool were as painted on my clothes. The whole workbench or crafting table was a tool. Its top was laid out in 9 sections that acted exactly like my left hand. "Oh yeah," I sang, doing what would now become my signature victory dance. I hopped a few times, spun around, hopped again, and reached for my remaining wood planks and threw them on the table. "Let's get crafting." My first few results were, let's just say, less than stellar. Placing 2 planks side by side got me a thin, almost full block white square. Placing the square on my ground and stepping on got me the same. Automatically click as the button. 3 planks crossed gave me 6 help cubed 6 slabs. Doubling them to 6 planks got me 2 similar slabs, but with square holes cut in the corners. I placed it one down the ground, walked around it, stepped on it to no effect. I tried to punch it back up again. Instead of shrinking into my hands, the slab tilted outward like a hatch. Awesome, I thought. Now I don't need hinges. And the surety was a further probate when I tried a combination of 6 upright planks and got 3 full-size doors. I set one down on the ground so that it remained standing, then reached out to open it. And yes, the freestanding door swung open with a totally normal creaking sound. Now, I know what you're thinking, okay? Now, why not just quit the crafting and get right to work making a house for this door? Or, at the very least, dig a rabbit hole in the ground and cover it with the hedge. Believe me, I thought about it, and I really was going to get it eventually, but I couldn't stop without making the hand tools I sewed on the side of the crafting table. I mean, if these words had put them there, then they had to exist. So why wasn't I able to make them? I felt like those hand tools were just no more combination away. After I made so much progress and even picked up another lesson in the progress, figuring out the rules turn them from enemies into friends. Just a few more tries, I promised, placing a plank on every section of the table. When that got me nothing, I happens by sheer chance to take the middle one at first. Instantly, the image of a box appears. And I don't mean a box-shaped nothing, I mean an actual box. I put it down in front of me and opened the hinges lid. It seems to be a fixed version of my pack with just many compartments. Figure, I hoped, tons more stories and nothing to store. And on the subject of emptiness, my next experience, 3 planks in a V, got me 4 empty wooden bowls. Instinctively, I pictured filling with them all kinds of soups and stew. Mouth-watering, I reached for an apple. For the first time through, my hands refused to move, and a second later I realized why. I wasn't hungry. This world only let me eat when I needed to, not when I wanted to. Well, that's not fun, I threw the apple, but at least I never waste food if I find any more. Looking at the leafless trunk, I wonder if I shouldn't try searching for more apples before it got dark. But before I did that, I really had to get moving on the shelter. But before I did that, just one more try, I put another load of planks on the crafting table, added a few more chunks the way to you. The first row I just made another board, but larger and more oval shaped like a tub or a boat, I shouted, yanking in front in from the eater. With it, with its still miniature in my hands, I ran up and over disappointment here. Hey guys, I shouted to the grazing animals. Check this out, I got a boat. The sheep and cows glanced up cautiously and got back to more important munching. And a heartfelt farewell to you too, I said, running past them to the nursing beach. I said to the tiny model tops in the water and instantly grew into a full-size skip, climbing aboard. Couldn't believe how stable it was. No rocking, no bobbing, totally smooth. Since there was no motor or sail, I figured the only way to get going was by paddling. I leaned forward to dip my hands in the water, and the boat suddenly began to move. All I gotta do is lean, I thought, smiling at the little crab pics of speeds. Escape! Freedom! Yeah, I yelled, turning back to give my island prison a final goodbye. I intended to shout something snarky like "so long, suckers," but stopped when I saw the last bit of land shrink to a speck of the horizon. I said slightly, showing the boats. I squinted the lens up ahead. There wasn't any. I glanced back at the island. It was gone. I came to a full stop, looking every direction, and saw nothing but sky and sea. And that's when reality set in. What was I thinking? Where was I going? Escaping this island wouldn't mean escaping this world. In this Spectre, I kinda knew that what I was dealing with, or here it was all unknown. This is what I should have considered or carving my help signs on the hill, back when I was dry and safe. What if there wasn't any other land, or what? What if they didn't have any people? Or what if the people were as dangerous as zombies? Or what if there were only zombies and those another monster I seen last night? Or worse, gulping down stomach acid. I spun around and sped back to the island. Not only the island wasn't there. Was I going in the right direction? I zigged this way and that, hoping for just the faintest hint of green. Nothing. I was lost, stupid, I hissed, furious with myself and making such a soulless mistake. I've been so eager to get home that I'd blown up my chance to survive. Now I was right back where I started, helpless and hopeless. No way was I getting out of this one. Sooner or later, I'd eat my last apple and starve slowly under the baking sun. Or maybe I'd been eaten by a squid. Maybe one was coming for me now. I could almost feel the hungry arms rising for the depths, ready to smack my balls and drag me under. Hopefully, I'd drowned before they tore me apart. Drown. Panic drowns thought, I whispered, feeling the strength in my words. The enemy wasn't rising squeeze, but my own rising hysteria, squeezing my chest, closing my brain. Panic drowns thought, I shout, and I'm not going to drown. I reached down my belt, not for the apple, but for the cube of dirt. Thankfully, I still have plenty for the help signs. I closed my eyes and inhaled the rich, grounding scents. Let's go find the rest of you, I threatened. We have to be close. There's no currents. And the bridge hasn't blown us too far, of course. The bridge. So far, I only noticed the ghosting east or west. I look up the clouds and match the movements with the line of the setting sun. Now we know east and west, I said with growing confidence. And since we started from the islander's beach, keeping the sun to the right means heading south. I put the dirt back in my belt and leaned consciously forward, and there was the top of Disappointment Hill. I sighed in relief, leaning as far forward as I could. The boat shot headlong onto the beach, smacking into planks and sticks against the sandy northern shore. I didn't care. Made it, I whispered, wishing my body could let me kiss the ground. Moo, called the approaching cow, his voice heavy with criticism. I know, I said, getting out of the water and collecting the remains of my boat. I wasn't thinking. Moo, said the cow. You're right, I answered. I've gotta think before I act. And that doesn't just mean figuring out my next move. I need a clear long-term strategy if I'm gonna survive this world. Moo, agreed the cow. And gotta focus on covering the basics, I continued. Stockpiling food, secure shelter, crafting tools and weapons, and whatever else I need to make my life more comfortable. I began pacing back and forth, emphatically gesturing to the watching animal. I've gotta turn this island into a comfort zone, a safe place where I can learn, or I can just how this world works. And then when I got all the basic covers, I can start asking the real big question, like how I got here and how I get home. And just consider those big questions, an even bigger, scarier one came to mind. Can I do it? I asked, all by myself, with no one to help me. I started down in my painted shoe, no one to protect our guys, or I could barely to the words I'll take care of me. I closed my eyes, trying to remember something. Nothing. About who I was. I am a kid, I said, trembling. Then grown-ups must have done a lot for me. And if I am a grown-up, then I still don't remember doing much for myself. Memories of that world, other worlds flashed before my anguished eyes. Memory of machines and luxuries and clicking a screen of order anything I wanted. I think my work did a lot for me. So many people doing so many different jobs that nobody had to worry about doing everything. I looked up into the cow's face. Can I do everything? Can I take care of me? The square animal gave a long, low moo, which I took for what other choice is there? Only one, I answered. To curl up and die. I sighed hard, which I won't do. Won't do. I choose to take care of myself, I proclaimed, as desperation morphs into this determination. I choose to believe in myself. Moo, said the cow, sounding to my like. Now you're talking. I can do this, I blowed boldly. I can and I will. I noticed the sun has almost set. I gotta get out of here. Confidence vanished as I raced out of the woods. How long did I wait before the night terrors rose again? How long before they hunted me down? That wraps up chapter 3. I hope you enjoy it and stay tuned for chapter 4.